Okay, so in our previous video, we learned how to call a function that returns a specific data type, right? So as in our, like the example for the addition, we return the value of this local variable after we processed two local variables together through let's say an arithmetic operation, store the result locally, then return the actual value stored in that variable. So what happened is, back in main, where we call that function addition, we return that value back to this local variable result right here. We did something similar for the subtraction, except my technique here, I didn't need an intermediate variable result for subtraction. I simply returned the result of an operation. So as you can see, we have two flavors with which we can return a value. Either the content of a variable or the result of a process. Okay. Later on, we can also, we will investigate also return of strings, concatenation of strings. So we have a lot of fun ahead of us in terms of what we can do in terms of the return from a function. The video right now that we're going to concentrate on, or our lesson right now, is going to be an alteration of this addition and subtraction, where we now will have parameters. Okay? So what I'm going to do is either copy most of this program, so let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to make the alteration for it. So copy all of this, create a new file. Okay? And change our objective. So first of all, this is example 39 now. And so returning values from a function, that's one of the objectives. So now we're going to change the main objective here, where functions will accept parameters, or will have parameters. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and gut the addition out like this. And I'm going to gut, and let me just take out the, I'll leave the result there. So let's go ahead and have double result. So you need a local variable there for that. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to need a result. Okay? And we're going to return that result when we're done. So right now, these operations are not doing much. So let me just write result here. Okay? So other than returning whatever the variable has in it, but right now nothing, right? So the only difference now is that the addition or subtraction will take two parameters. So double num1, comma, double num2. So as you can see here, for this example, I have two items in here. So this is how you define it, num1 and num2. So I'm formally writing the parameter list in this manner. So what are we going to do? Well, the result is going to be equal to num1 plus num2. That's what we're going to be doing here. How about the subtraction? Same thing. Double num1, comma, double num2. So what are we going to do? These variables are going to have values, so we're going to store them in result after we process them. Right? So what would that be? Num1 minus num2. Now you may ask, how did we manage to put values in num1 and num2? For that to happen, you're going to have to do it right here before you call the addition. So maybe what you need is double num1, comma, num2. You need two variables, local to main, and then you will ask the user right here So cout, enter two numbers to add together. Maybe something like this, cin num1, num2. Now, notice the function call is going to be changed. You have a list now, num1, num2. Now, this num1 and num2 here are local to main. They just happen to be the same as here, as these variables. Now, could I have done them differently? Could I have said, for example, n1, n2? Do they have to have the same name? The answer is no. As long as you stay consistent within your function, right here. Let me just do n1, n2, right here. And make sure you're staying consistent within your functions, that the variables you declared, so anything you write here in the list is an actual local variable for that function. So if you called it n1, use n1. Don't use num1. Num1 does not exist in addition or subtraction. n1, n2, right? But they're separate. This n1 here, for example, is not the same as this n1. They're two separate functions. They're two separate variables. They have two different scopes. However, we're mapping num1 here to n1. We're mapping num2 here to n2. So we're going to do the same thing for the subtraction. So let's go ahead and do that. So cout, enter two numbers to subtract from each other. And let's go ahead and do cin num1, num2, semicolon. And then what we're going to do is pass these two variables here, num1, num2, since subtraction as well has two variables, n1 and n2. So we're mapping num1 to n1. We're mapping num2 to n2. So let's go back, see what we're doing right here. Okay. So the function call itself. So now the question is, why don't we write double num1, double num2 here? You don't. You're not declaring this function. You're using it. When you're doing a function call, you are actually using it. When you're defining it, then you have to be explicit in terms of what data type are you using for your variable or your parameter list. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see how this works, right? So let's go ahead, compile and run. It's asking me to save it. So this will be example 39. Okay, and it's working fine. So let's go ahead and actually make the fonts a little bigger. There you go. And let's say we want to do addition, right? So we're in addition mode. It's going to ask me to add two numbers. So 2 and a space 4. And the result is 6. Hit the space bar, it clears out. Let's do a subtraction. And it's going let's do 3 and 5. That's what we're subtracting, right? So it's a -2. And let's pick an 8, which doesn't exist. We get an invalid choice, so everything looks good. Now let's go ahead and do a 3, and there you have it. So what is the lesson learned from this video? Notice the pattern. This function is defined. Addition is the name of the function. And then if you have two items that it will accept, this is what we call passing by value, by the way. What's going to happen is num1's value will be copied over to n1, and num2's value, when you call, will be copied over to n2. They don't share the same memory location, so let me be really clear. This is not passing by reference. This is passing by value. So both variables, n1 or num1, will have the same value by the time you call addition. And that's about as far as it will, what it will do. It will not. They're not sharing the same space. Okay? It's just the value. So you're copying a value. So if you stored 5 at memory location 2000, for num1 being at memory location 2000, n1 is not at memory location 2000. It could be at memory location 2050. But it will still have that 5 by the time you call the addition. So you just simply copied a value to another memory location. That's it. So n1 and n2 will still be local variables for the addition. It will handle them as such. Notice I have also a local variable result. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, how come I didn't declare n1 and n2 here? You don't have to if they are part of your inventory list of parameters, right? So you do the declaration right here when you formally define your function. You do not put the data type when you call the function. Let's be clear on that. Okay, we'll do more examples on calling functions that take parameters. Now at this stage, for this example, we have a function that takes 2 parameters of the same type. Do they have to be of the same type? The answer is no. Right? Do they have to be just 2? Answer, absolutely not. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3. Okay? Now, how far can you go? If you're going to do more than typically 4 I usually stop. If you're going to do 5 and they're the same data type, I have other tools to use other than passing by value in this manner. And again, remember to put a comma to separate your list here. And then when you call, use that comma again right here and right here. So subtraction or addition, they both accept 2 arguments separated by a comma. Okay, so I hope this was instructive.